Hello everybody, Pinstripe here. What is going on? Welcome back to Mission 25. It is once again time for a stipulation as we are coming out with a full team of medics, starting off with some self-damage in order to get Izzy out of the pillbox, because the last thing that we need is the enemy dictating terms with the heavy armor. So he does indeed do his usual, jumps out and then skips instantly. So of course the next course of action is going to be to try and get him down off the pillbox, which will end up in the usual fashion, in that we won't actually be the ones to hit him off, because a rifle from this distance won't be enough to nudge him down. If you had a sniper rifle, you might get lucky, but we just bump him off the head of our medic and allow him to get a pistol shot in, but we will be able to take charge of said pillbox as time goes on. So again, it is time for a stipulation, like I mentioned, and medic versus legend is on the cards, which, looking at it, you would just see the medical class, or at least the orderly and the medic, not counting the surgeon, as being just a glorified grunt, because weapons-wise, we do not hold any rifle bursts. We only hold the standard knife, rifle, and grenades, along with all the usual healing items. It's thankful, I guess, that we have the additional healing crates as well, but in all honesty, I could really use some kind of rifle burst or some better offensive weapon, because I'm too busy hitting my own pigs with grenade shots for 12 damage. Obviously not intentional. I was trying to throw it over the swill and it hit it in the face, and well, you saw the rest. But there's going to be some TNT and tranq combinations from the legends, which aren't as common. TNT, of course, yes, because that seems to be their main directive on their first turn. So again, thankful that we have those health crates there. But the healing hands are going to be the saving grace in this stipulation for all the time that when any single medic takes damage, I can run and heal him up instantly and then continue on my way. But again, positioning and knockback are going to be key, especially with the grenades, which again, bearing in mind that those are limited. You only have ×3 usage of grenades, so it's saving them for a rainy day if you need to, but starting off by nudging all the legends down towards the poison water is a good start. Of course, when we're factoring in health pools, 80 versus 200, times that by 5, yeah, it's not so good, but when you can bump pigs back up to their full health of 80, or indeed remove any kind of status effects via that of the tranquilizer, which you will see in this video, the healing hands again coming in clutch to avoid the skip turns and to continue to try and gain that advantage for ourselves, because the main thing that we're trying to do is exactly that, is to ensure that everybody is poisoned, and the guys that don't get poisoned, we just need to ensure that, you know, they die, but we want to be getting all skip turns possible on our side for our advantage. So we see the first bits of healing dealt. Her drive was down to 43, so ×2 usage of the healing hands already used, so only one left for this medic. But when you combine that to our full squadron, it's not so bad. But this is hands down so far my most challenging stipulation yet, purely because of that factor of not having any heavy hitting weapons. And worst of all as well, when we look at Mission 25, and the items that you can get from this map. Of course, if you destroy a swill, then a crate will drop down, but you're not always guaranteed to be in the right spot in order to collect it, because the majority of them actually land on the high ground. So we possess no jetpacks as medics, so maneuverability up to collecting those crates is just a no-no. And again, most of those crates do contain air support, so we don't really want to be using airstrikes either if we get those, because as soon as one is triggered, then it's basically game over for the rest of our team, because all the legends will pile on and it will just be who has the most air support, and we know the answer to that just looking at who we're fighting against. So health pools, again, I'm trying to evenly distribute the damage between all those legends and utilize that pillbox as much as possible, because the extra 10 HP from the heavy machine gun is really going to come in clutch. But just take note here of Yakovsky's position in relation to the pillbox itself and what might be in the way. But he is doing us a favour as Izzy falls down to 17 HP and is poisoned, so only 2 turns away from gaining our first skip. We always love it when we're able to partially cheese the AI to dealing the damage for us. But I'm quickly going to collect the final health crate and then turn my attention to the French legend, because he is still, even though he took that hit to the face, he needs to be pushed down towards the water's edge, because yet again, target needs to be poisoned. So far at this state, I mean, everything seems to be going our way. We've got the pillbox, we've got guys where we need them to be. The guys that aren't poisoned are somewhat close to the water's edge, and the dudes that are poisoned are slowly losing health. So we have a constant stream of damage being outputted, be it through poison, and the medics that we do have left are either quite healthy or are within range of being healed. And even though I have been tranquilized, like I say, you can remove status effects via the healing hands, and it will remove the status, but of course if the health total that you have is above your default health, so anything for the medic that is above 80, if you try to heal with the healing hands, you won't gain any extra health, but it will remove those status effects like I said. So Izzy now 1 turn away from giving us that skip. Surprisingly not going for the pillbox, because that usually seems to be his go-to, but instead targeting one of my medics closer to the Uncle Ham's legend, taking the full force of that shell, but dealing a little bit of splash damage, which, like I keep saying, is really going to come in clutch towards the latter portion of this video. And it's just, again, rinse and repeat, trying to nudge guys down towards those water hazards. I mean, the one benefit that we can take from this, the one massive benefit I should say, is just the fact that we are medics, that we have a method of healing, and I really feel like this is perhaps the limit of the stipulation as far as like how low you can go, because obviously I wouldn't be doing this with orderlies given the lack of any other healing items, and again maintaining the same arsenal I guess as a grunt. And the same with a grunt too, you know, that there's no point in doing that. I know that it is possible, of course, if you try to kill Izzy before the legends drop in, you know, do the usual strat to finishing mission 25 quickly, that's possible. But when it comes to the full matchup of grunt versus legend, I'm good. I don't want to go through that pain, you know? It's really not for me. One of the things I really do enjoy about these kinds of stipulations is that it highlights the key weaknesses and strengths of the classes that don't normally get to see that much limelight in the single-player campaign. When we look at the middle ground classes of the medic, the bombardier, the engineer, and the sniper, you know, those guys are so overlooked because everyone is so eager all the time to get to that third and final rank, like the spy, the saboteur, the surgeon, and the pyrotechnic all take the limelight purely because they have more health, more of an arsenal, and they don't get blocked by the swill. I mean, look at his stupid face. Look at the face on the swill gets me every time, but he blocks my shot completely, and that is a full 40 wasted. And it's those minute damage numbers, those minute instances where max damage isn't dealt, that is going to cost me. I think that's the one really fine line within Hogs that can be quite painful sometimes. It's just that if you're not right on the money, then you are going to be hampered throughout the rest of the mission, or if it's a multiplayer game, then yeah, it's quite obvious when that is, when or where or how that is going to impact your gameplay. Anyhow, right there we see our first loss of this game, which is where, once more, the healing hands are going to come in clutch to just keeping our pigs as high up on health as they can be. But I just want to kind of go to a different subject for a second real quick. Just the combination of healing items that you find in single player would be perfect in multiplayer. It's a topic that we've talked about many times before, and is something that I know a lot of players are hoping can happen in future for the orderly in multiplayer, just because the healing hands, the infinite healing hands are great, but sometimes mainly thinking about competitive, as per bloody usual of course, but even so, the likes of the medical ball and medical darts. I think the medical dart gets the least amount of love out of the three, purely because it is just annoying that it ends your turn. Yes, you deal 40, but it's also because that dart can only go on a single individual, unless, of course, you get very, very lucky with the hitboxes. But compared to the medical ball, which of course can heal multiple targets that are within its vicinity and indeed range, yeah, you can see where the weaknesses lie. But it's a talking point, like I say, that has been brought up several times before, and with the existing modding tools that we do have, it is currently not possible to permanently install within multiplayer, which is unfortunate, but it is on my radar as something to hopefully adjust and add into Lardcore. Like if we were to have some kind of competitive mode where you just flick a switch and like the arsenal of the pig is changed. Again, I don't know how easy that is to do, because on a daily basis, you know, dealing with the Hogs spaghetti code, there are certain things that you'd think would be easy to hack apart and add new things into, but it's actually way more challenging to those of us that actually have way more experience in the area of programming. Because again, I don't consider myself to be a programmer. I never have. There is a lot of programming things I have learned using the likes of Visual Studio and being able to operate and do my job kind of adjacent and in conjunction with the Hogs source code. And it has been eye-opening in a lot of different areas. You know, I found out information that I never thought I would, and gazing upon the inner workings of how Hogs functions, whether it be AI, whether it be maps, whether it be weather, whether it be vehicles, whether it be gun barrels on vehicles or tank tracks, or all these kinds of things that are just, to you and I, are so simple because we're so used to seeing them working and functioning in game, but applying that to new graphical systems and all that sort of, all those shenanigans, yeah, it just gets pretty complicated. But I am hoping to add the likes of the medical dart and medical ball to the arsenal of the multiplayer orderly. Alongside those, I honestly don't think that any other balance changes are needed. I've discussed it before in previous videos. Once obviously bashing the grenade launcher and just being like, why is this thing so boring? But then realizing over time, as I then dove into I guess multiplayer balancing, competitive balancing, realizing that for every class to have that as an outlet is a huge plus. Because if they didn't have that option and it was only, say, the grenadier that held the grenade launcher, then the likes of the orderly, the sapper, the scout would be left stranded without any kind of long-range weapon. So yeah, grenade launchers just ensure that you have something to use, you have a turn, you have a way, of being able to reach far off targets. I guess it's also tied into the AI as well, because when you look at the frequency in which they use the grenade launcher in multiplayer, I feel as though it's kind of tied to the AI's code, in that in a lot of instances they will go for that weapon because it's kind of like holding a bazooka as an AI gunner. You know, that is going to be their priority. So regardless of whether they are an orderly, a sapper or a scout, they will 9 times out of 10 prioritize the heavier grenade launcher weapon rather than the sniper rifle or the shrapnel, or, well, if we're just looking at the the orderly, I guess the rifle burst. It depends on range, of course. It always depends on range. But yeah, getting back to the gameplay then, you'll notice that the swill has indeed just been destroyed, and this, I guess, mid portion of the game kind of demonstrates the shift, I suppose, in favor, because you'll notice that we still haven't lost any other pigs. We still hold the pillbox, but we are out of ammunition within said pillbox, and the enemy are dealing the necessary damage to deplete our resources, because there are some of my medical pigs that are all out of grenades and indeed healing hands as well. So now I have to coordinate my position to heal up my dudes that need it, because, well, this guy tanked the air burst to the face, as did the swill. Yukovsky is still on 160 as well, which is just an astronomical amount of health compared to what my pigs have. And he's going to make his way over and collect the airstrike crate, and that was what I was saying earlier about just not being able to reach them. Sometimes you will find that when an AI collects a crate, that will instantly trigger them to then use it. Thankfully on this occasion, not so much the case, because he did use a jetpack, and he knows that he needs to kind of wait a little bit longer before using air support. Which is fine by me, of course, because, we desperately need some kind of reinforcements, whether it be weapons, whether it be water damage, whether it be better positioning. Thankfully, though, my pig inside the pillbox is still holding on to his final remaining healing hands, so not even realizing which pig needs the healing. I'm just kind of blindly making my way across and being like, do you need it? Do you need it? And even though, he needs like 7 HP more, but it's best to save that healing hand for later, because when you look at the numbers game, I guess, when it comes to healing, if you've got a pig that is like maybe in the single digits of needing a single digit number to boost themselves back up to full HP, you want to be saving that healing hand for a guy that requires more than that as far as boosting their health up is concerned. So if you've got a guy that's on like 60, he needs that more than a guy that is on 75. I know that's quite obvious, but still worth saying, I suppose. But we are tanking, absolutely tanking these airburst hits, and it's now going to come down to the usage of the melee weapons to try and deal more damage, because, again, lacking those grenades, we need to use that water to our advantage, and combine it with body blocking too, because the more, again, that we can get the enemy to hit themselves, the better. But again, when you've got Schnitzel on 24, and my other guys are no longer above 100 HP, it's not looking so good, but it will be for my guy on this side of the map, because the enemy, well, just observe, right? 29 damage dealt, he slides down, and we're going to continue the body blocks in combination with the healing to continue trying to bait the enemy to taking down their own legend. Big Matt is now on 39 HP, so pretty good maths, we just need one more hit to take him down. And if I can continue this cycle of heal, self-damage, heal, self-damage, then maybe we'll have a chance to gain the skips where possible and use that to our advantage to then win this game. Of course, on paper that sounds so simple, but in reality, as you'll notice, we are going to be losing pigs very quickly, not before Big Matt eventually flies into the water. A direct 40 pushes him. He's dead anyway, but slips into the drink for the hell of it, and we tank yet another bazooka shot to the face. So the two biggest targets right now are going to be Le Renard and Saint Nick, given their health pools are significantly lower. So if we can maintain a body block on either one of them, whilst ensuring that self-damage comes in, if we can gain 2 skips at least, bearing in mind that right now the stakes are even, it is a 4v4, but I am also aware that Tapazuki is the healthiest of the bunch. So given that he is standing right next to the biggest pool of water near enough, the water again can deal the necessary damage. But we will say goodbye to our other med, and this will bring it down to a 4v3. Schnitzel did his duty, he did his best. Sadly for him, he will not see the end of this battle in one piece. And so we come to the final time that I will be using a healing hand in this video, boosting our last pig up to back up into the 70s, so he's going to be near enough up to full health, and taking it into the final few turns of this vid. It is a 4v3, but this is perhaps where things go awry, because relating back to what I was saying earlier about those very, very fine moments where if you don't deal max damage, you will be punished for it. I went with the low angle here, but didn't go full power, and it rolls away and could have dealt way more damage to Yukovsky. Could have got a lucky spin, could have killed him, but then the airstrike comes in, and this effectively seals it for the Legends, because purely based on damage numbers, purely based on the amount of pigs they have available, if it was, say, a 3v2 and we had the numbers advantage, then maybe. And even though Tapazuki kills himself, it's not going to make a difference purely because their mindset is already made up. And as we know, once a legend has selected an airstrike, they will not stop until all air support has been used up. So I'm going to continue fighting and trying to get some more kills on the board, trying to get body blocks in, trying to gain a skip, because I know that St. Nick is positioned in the perfect spot here for a knife, but he ends up spinning and drowns. So no skip there. We get a full kill, basically dealing 50 damage with a knife of all things. So that doesn't benefit us in the slightest. Things move over to Le Renard, and you can kind of put the pieces together as to how this video is going to end. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up from me. I hope you guys enjoyed anyway. This has been one stipulation that hasn't gone the way we wanted, but I guess it's good to showcase the failures alongside these successes, because I will be attempting this stipulation again in future, be it in the far future, because it was maybe a tad painful. I think once you're able to get the right positioning in and ensure that you come in clutch with those hits, that you're dealing the max damage, and that you can utilize the water to greater effect than I have in this video, then you will be successful. But I would recommend giving it a try for yourself. It is a good enough challenge alongside all the other stipulations, but many more to come in future. Let me know your thoughts on everything in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later for the next one.
Destination going.